collides with surging demand from the AI and technology sectors. Stay with us as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments. Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with Jamaica's Prime Minister redefining what corruption looks like in the country. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is arguing that inefficiency within government systems should be viewed as a form of corruption, warning that delays in approvals and execution are depriving Jamaicans of economic opportunity. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for the $9.6 billion Roselle Estate housing development in St. Thomas, Holness says too much focus is being placed on bureaucracy and oversight without enough attention being paid to whether systems are actually delivering results for citizens.
The notion of corruption and what has not yet dawned on what I hear all the kind of people talking about is that inefficiency is actually corruption. Inefficiency is actually what is depriving the people of Jamaica of getting their house quickly. That is what we must be scrutinizing. That is what the effort must be placed on in fighting against.
Holness pointed to recent changes in Jamaica's motor vehicle registration system as an example of how the government can be more efficient despite resistance from critics.
We took a decision that we're going to change how we administer the fitness of motor vehicles. And we took a decision, we're going to change how you pay for your registration of your motor vehicles. And when we came up with the idea, you know, there are a lot of technical people who are saying, boy, it can't work. It's going to create more problems, more accidents going to happen. Because there is, as I tell you, the thinking. If it don't take long, if you don't have 1 million scrutiny over it, then something is wrong. That is corruption.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness says major infrastructure investments are transforming St. Thomas into one of Jamaica's emerging development corridors. The Jamaican Prime Minister says strategic economic upgrades are laying the foundation for large-scale commercial expansion across the parish. He also notes the South Coast Highway is reshaping the economic future of St. Thomas.
That roadway is a corridor for development. And I want all Jamaicans to start to think of their roadway in this way. Underneath that road would be pipes for water. And we invested heavily in putting in the proper piping infrastructure to bring water along with that roadway. Underneath that roadway would be conduits for fiber optic cables. Along parts of that roadway would be provisions for sewage. Along that roadway would be proper provisioning for drainage and other civil works to protect the road. So it is a development corridor.
That was Jamaica's Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness. At the same time, Chairman of the National Housing Trust, NHT, Linval Freeman, says public-private partnerships will be critical in addressing Jamaica's housing shortage while helping to drive economic growth and mobility. Speaking during the Roselle Estate groundbreaking ceremony, Freeman notes Jamaica's housing demand requires deeper collaboration between government and private developers.
The reality is that no single institution, based on the number of houses by which we are short, no single institution can provide all the houses that we need. The GPP, under which these houses are being delivered, and this is a guaranteed purchase program, represents a practical and forward-looking approach to housing delivery. Through this arrangement, private developers conceptualize and execute projects, while the NHT guarantees the purchase of some or all of these units.
Driving the point home, Freeman says the NHT and New Roselle Properties Limited partnership is supporting employment and investment opportunities in the country.
Roselle Estate is a strong example of how this partnership can work effectively. Through this collaboration, we will deliver 895 one- and two-bedroom units while also supporting employment, economic activity, and investment within the wider community.
That was NHT Chairman Linval Freeman. In financial news, Wisynco Group is reporting double-digit revenue growth for its third quarter, but profits came under pressure as higher operating costs weighed on the company's bottom line. In its unaudited third quarter report, the manufacturing and distribution company posted revenues of $15.5 billion, up 12.6% when compared with the corresponding period last year. However, net profit fell 33.5% to $646 million, while earnings per stock unit declined to 17 cents. Wisynco says the quarter was impacted by unseasonably cold and wet weather in February, which hurt sales performance after a strong start to January. The company also pointed to temporary hotel and restaurant closures following Hurricane Melissa. Despite the setbacks, export revenues continued to surge, rising 34.7% year-to-date as the company pushes deeper into regional and international markets. Gross profits also increased to $4.9 billion. Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer Andrew Mahfood says higher production and marketing costs, coupled with rising finance expenses and foreign exchange losses, weighed on the company's earnings performance. Still, Wisynco ended the quarter with $10.8 billion in cash and investment securities, along with a working capital ratio of 2.6. We move to the latest updates from the JSE Equities. In Monday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 111 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 49 declined, and 19 traded firm. Leading the winners are AMG Packaging and Paper Company, Cygnus Credit Investments USD Ordinary Shares, Edufocal, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers. While leading the losers are Consolidated Bakeries Jamaica, Margaritaville Turks USD, JMMB Group 7.15% cumulative redeemable preference share, and Main Event Entertainment Group. The main index declined by 972.24 points to close at 348,023.10 points. The junior market index declined by 11.72 points to close at 3,124.75 points. It's time for the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. In today's Market Education feature, we're talking about burn rate. Burn rate refers to the speed at which a startup or business spends its cash reserves before becoming profitable or cash flow positive. It is usually measured monthly and helps determine how long a company can continue operating before needing additional funding. Understanding a company's burn rate and financial runway is important for maintaining stability and extending the life of the business. That was the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, Tease the Senses, and Pulse Investments.
Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. What you put in is what you get out. What you put in is what you get out, yeah. Build up your body, boost up your brain. Take on the world now. Say bye-bye pain. Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. Be good to you. Caribbean Dreams, instant turmeric tea. Distributed by Amalgamated Distributors Limited.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. Now for the regional business news. St. Kitts and Nevis is entering a more fragile phase of economic growth as a key revenue engine begins to lose momentum. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, says the Federation's economy is expected to grow by about 2% in 2026, even as declining citizenship by investment, CBI revenues, place increasing pressure on public finances. In its latest Article 4 consultation, the IMF says growth will be supported by construction, renewable energy projects, agriculture, and continued strength in tourism. However, the Washington-based financial institution warned that the slowdown in CBI inflows is continuing to weigh heavily on government revenues. According to the report, the fiscal deficit widened to 11.7% of GDP in 2025, while the current account deficit remained high at 14.6% of GDP. The IMF also projects inflation will edge higher to about 2.2%, driven by global food and energy costs. The fund is now urging the government to deepen fiscal reforms, improve transparency around the CBI program, and adopt formal fiscal rules to strengthen long-term resilience. Despite those pressures, the IMF described geothermal and solar energy projects as positive signs for the country's economic outlook, while noting that the banking system remains stable. Meanwhile, Guyana is positioning itself at this intersection of healthcare, technology, and national transformation. President Dr. Irfan Ali says the country is preparing to unveil major advancements in healthcare, technology, and robotics. Speaking during a diaspora engagement in Canada recently, Ali says an upcoming announcement linked to Guyana's 60th independence anniversary could place the country ahead of many developed nations in cardiac healthcare innovation.
As we celebrate our 60th anniversary this year, you will see an amazing announcement that will shock you and shock the world maybe. Because we are about to do something that most developed countries has not done as yet. We are about to leapfrog cardiac, healthcare, and robotics in a way unimaginable.
The Guyanese president also touted expanding economic opportunities, saying members of the diaspora are being encouraged to invest directly in national development projects.
We have just launched the expression of interest for you to invest in the fertilizer plant, the first fertilizer plant, in the gas bottling plant with guaranteed rates of return that no bank or investment vehicle can give you. You now have that opportunity.
That was President of Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali. And in corporate news, One Caribbean Media is reporting higher profits even as revenue pressures continue to weigh on the regional media industry. The company recorded a 28% increase in first quarter profit before tax, reaching 5.1 million Trinidad and Tobago dollars. However, revenues declined 4% to $65.6 million during the period. In its unaudited financial results for the quarter ended March 31, 2026, Chairman Faris Hussein says the results were impacted by higher operating and restructuring costs, but supported by capital gains from the sale of property. The group says advertising conditions in Trinidad and Tobago remain challenging, although early signs of recovery are beginning to emerge. OCM is now rolling out enhanced multimedia packages and pursuing greater cost efficiencies as it repositions its business model. The company also disclosed that a technical issue temporarily interrupted its largest solar project in Barbados, though the issue is close to being resolved. On another hand, the group reported resilient performances from its regional media operations and growth within its non-media segment. Looking ahead, OCM says it expects stronger operating performance over the remaining months of the financial year as it continues to execute its long-term growth strategy. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 22 securities, of which 5 advanced, 9 declined, and 8 traded firm. Today's winners are Point Lisas Industrial Port Development Corporation, National Flour Mills, the West Indian Tobacco Company, and Republic Financial Holdings. While leading the losers are One Caribbean Media, Grace Kennedy, Trinidad Cement, and Trinidad and Tobago NGL. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All TNT Index declined by 1.54 points to close at 1,411.32. The Composite Index also declined by 2.12 points to close at 977.35. The Cross-Listed Index dropped 0.39 points to close at 71.79. The SME Index remained at 89.81. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
Mikey, is what sweet you saw?
Yeah, dear babes. Where's the catty? You and your party tonight?
Party? You secure your future yet? Careless.
Did you know that over time the stock market has provided a reliably high return on investments? Be sure to contact a licensed stockbroker for more information on this exciting investment opportunity.
Taking care of business, Mikey?
Yeah, catty. I'm securing my future. Want to come look over my stock portfolio?
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
Okay, I just sent the money. I'll WhatsApp you the tracking number.
Thanks, Daddy. I can't wait to buy that PS5.
Listen to me. Your birthday money is not just for spending. Remember what I told your mom? Remember to open the bank account immediately after collecting the money. Your mom has her ID, TRN, proof of address, proof of income, and your school ID.
I'm not an adult yet, so Mommy will have to open the account with me.
Yes. Anyways, I'm headed back to work, so call me later. I love you guys.
This financial literacy tip is brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, promoting financial inclusion. For more information, visit our BOJ Real Talk playlist on our YouTube channel.
I'm trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
I'm also trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
Start a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Check jamstockx.com for information and a list of registered stockbrokers. You can also call the Jamaica Stock Exchange at 876-967-3271 for information on how to begin. I am achieving my financial goals.
I'm achieving my financial goals.
Welcome back. On the international scene, U.S. copper prices climbed sharply on Monday, trading near recent highs as worsening Middle East tensions disrupted critical supply chains, while artificial intelligence expansion continued driving long-term demand expectations. Escalating tensions between the United States and Iran have effectively halted exports of sulfur and sulfuric acid from parts of the Middle East since March, disrupting supplies of key materials used in copper refining and processing. The tightening supply environment prompted China to suspend exports, while shortages in top producer Chile forced major refiners to reduce operations and scale back output. At the same time, major technology companies continued signing agreements expected to significantly expand data center construction, strengthening copper's long-term outlook because of its critical role in electrification, AI infrastructure, and power grid development. Broader industrial demand also remained resilient, supported by manufacturing activity in China, where a private manufacturing PMI climbed to its highest level in more than 5 years. Turning now to developments in the global commodities market, gold rebounded on Monday to trade near its highest level in almost 3 weeks as investors monitored mounting uncertainty surrounding U.S.-Iran negotiations and renewed instability across the Middle East. President Donald Trump described Iran's response to a proposed peace agreement as totally unacceptable, heightening fears of further escalation after weekend attacks strained a fragile ceasefire that had been in place since early April. The continued uncertainty surrounding the Strait of Hormuz also kept pressure on oil markets, fueling concerns about inflation and broader global economic disruption. Investors have meanwhile scaled back expectations for U.S. interest rate cuts this year, with forecasts now divided between minimal easing and no cuts at all in 2026. And amid shifting global market conditions, major airlines are also moving aggressively to modernize their fleets. AirAsia has placed an order for 150 Airbus A220 aircraft in a major fleet renewal agreement announced at Airbus Mirabel facility in Quebec, marking one of the aviation industry's largest commercial deals this year. The announcement was made by Airbus Commercial Aircraft CEO Lars Wagner during a ceremony attended by Canadian officials recently. Wagner says the aircraft can accommodate up to 160 passengers and revealed that Airbus has now secured more than 1,000 A220 orders since the program launched 10 years ago.
With that announcement today, AirAsia will also become the launch customer of this new configuration that carries up to 160 passengers. Thank you. We have, Tony, with that order, we have now surpassed 1,100 orders, and that's a great milestone for the program almost 10 years after its existence.
Meanwhile, Airbus is positioning the A220 as a central part of the aviation industry's push toward lower emissions and improved fuel efficiency following AirAsia's major aircraft purchase. Wagner highlighted the aircraft's environmental and operational advantages after confirming the 150-jet agreement with AirAsia.
And the A220, as everyone I'm sure in this room knows, is the only clean sheet design in its class, and that is shown by the numbers, minus 25% of fuel burn reduction, and with that CO2 reduction, that is so important in today's environment.
That was CEO of Airbus Commercial Aircraft in Quebec, Lars Wagner. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't never, ever, ever wanna calm down. No, no, no. Yeah, yeah.
An outsider in Jamaica. The fact that he did a management buyout of Moss in Jamaica, I think that was almost unheard of in 1960.
From a sales rep to a sales manager to manager to owning your own company, that in itself is a challenge.
He persevered. That was what he did. He kept going.
And now to recap our top stories. In the local news, Wholeness describes government inefficiency as corruption. Regionally, IMF flags rising fiscal risks in St. Kitts and Nevis economy. And internationally, copper hits record high on supply crunch and AI demand. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.